Today we are going to look at the tongue of a 15-year-old girl who had only 6 periods since the commencement of puberty. That would be in 22 months. Now, typically when we think about the oligomenorrhea, we think about the Ren and the Chong meridians, right? Because Ren is the C of yin, and the Chong is the C of blood. Okay. However, in this particular case, there is a feature on the tongue itself that I would like you to pay closer attention, and because this is very unusual, rather, because this is something that is not we see very often in clinical practice, and I'm talking about these brown dots, and you see them here on the sides of the tongue, but also you see them on the root of the tongue, and there is a whole cluster of them at the tip of the tongue. The tongue is the map of the body, and we can divide it into segments like this. And we know that the sides of the tongue belong to the liver and gallbladder. The tip is the heart, and further proximally is the lung. This is the lung area, and this is the kidney area. So what we are observing are the dots that are in the liver and gallbladder areas, the heart area, and the kidney area. And so we need to speak about the nature of these dots. Anytime we have a constrained yang energy, it starts forming heat. And as we know, heat rises. And so it's going to be pushing on the tissues. In this particular case, because tongue is the holographic image of the whole body, it's going to be pushing out on the tongue tissues. And normally, we would see most often we would see red dots. And here you can even see on the tongue that there are some red areas here. So there is that. However, when dots become brown, that's an indication that heat becomes stagnant. Okay? And so that's what we are observing. We're observing stagnation of heat in the liver and the gallbladder, also in the area of the kidneys, the reproductive system, and also the heart. So you have liver regulates Qi. Liver regulates Qi. When it fails to regulate, Qi becomes stagnant. In this particular case, we can also observe an element of phlegm dampness. As you can see, there is this kind of thick yellowish coat which is located around the center here and also at the root of the tongue. So it is safe to say that stagnation that turns into heat combines with dampness of phlegm. And goes into the lower burner. Okay? And that's what we observe here. Heat moves because dampness is heavy, it's anchoring heat, and it moves down into the lower part of the body and creates stagnation there in the reproductive zone, in the kidneys and the uterus, because kidneys and the uterus, they are manifestations of the reproductive system. What puzzles me a little bit is the stagnation also that takes place in the upper burner. So that would indicate an old heart fire. And so there is an emotional component to this problem, because very often even the liver and the gallbladder issues are emotionally related, and so heat settles into the lower burner, into the kidneys, but it also rises into the upper burner, into the heart, and creates heart fire. In addition to heart fire, you can also observe how the tongue has a slight indentation here, right? This area is actually sunken, and that's an indication of heart blood deficiency. Okay, that's another component to this problem. And so I would be asking this lady a lot of psycho-emotional questions. Is there an abuse in the family? Is there some challenging situation, familial situation? Because I think that plays an important role in this case. Now, going back to the Chong and the Ren channel, which one would I choose in this particular case? I would gravitate more towards the Chong, the penetrating vessel. Why? Because we have clearly insufficiency of blood. You see that the tongue is slightly pale, and there is a clear sign of insufficiency of blood in the heart. And so if we are to put this all together, we're going to use spleen 4 plus pericardium 6. A good way to support the Chong opening points would be stomach 36 plus spleen 6. When you needle them well, they really produce very good results in terms of nourishing blood, this combination. Next, we're going to take care of the stagnation in the lower burner, gallbladder 26 plus Ren 3. We need to also invigorate blood, because anytime there is stagnation, phlegm dampness, and qi, there will be always an element of blood stagnation. And so we're going to take spleen 10 and combine it with kidney 8. It's a Qi cleft point for the Yin Qiao extraordinary meridian, and combine it with kidney 8. It's an excellent point for invigorating blood in case of amenorrhea, in any case of blood stagnation that is pertaining to the lower burner gynecological stagnation.